Welcome back to Gangs All Here, our New York Jets podcast from the New York Post. You know what it is. It's Happy Victory Monday edition of the program. Those highlights you heard courtesy of Fox following a Jets win. Can you believe it? Do you believe in miracles? The Jets take down the Eagles for the first time in the history of the franchise. Lucky number 13. Previously 0-12. The Jets came in a Sunday underdogs by 7 points. 2-3 going up against the 5-0 Eagles. The NFC champion, defending NFC champion, Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets coming in without number 1 corner, Sauce Gardner, without number 2 corner, DJ Reed, without number 4 corner, Brandon Echols, and without another corner, special teams player, Justin Hardy. 4 guys out, no problem. Bryce Hall, Michael Carter, Craig James, Tay Hayes, and the likes of Tony Adams playing ultimate heroes for the Jets. From 5:32 left in the second quarter until the end of the game, how many points did the Eagles score? Zilch. 0. The Jets offense struggled again. They were bad in the red zone. But the defense wanted to talk like they were the 85 Bears before the season. And while they haven't really showed it yet, this was the game where they showed it. They strutted their stuff in week 1. Aaron Rodgers go down. They beat Josh Allen and the Bills against the Chiefs. They made Patrick Mahomes look pedestrian. They didn't make him look like the best quarterback in the league. And then on Sunday against Jalen Hurts, absolute dominant effort. 4 turnovers in court. It ends, excuse me. I'm having a stroke here because the Jets should beat the Eagles. And there's a reason to be fired up when you beat a team for the first time in the history of the franchise when everyone counted you out, including me. I predicted 27-20 Eagles. I got the 20 right for the Jets. The problem for the Eagles, they only finished with 14. 4 picks capped off, as I was saying, by a Tony Adams interception in the final 2 minutes. Breece Hall scores quick, and I was very nervous that the Jets were going to lose when Breece Hall scored immediately. 1:46 to go, and producer Andrew Hart's texted me saying they're winning this game. Like, get a guess. I'm like, you MFing jinx. Because I said 1:46 to go. Jets might blow this. But what was I thinking? Hartz was right. This defense carried them, and they finished the effort in the final 2 minutes. And, man, what was Jalen Hurts thinking? Throwing that ball to Tony Adams. Just a terrible throw. And I don't want to hear Eagles fans say, oh, the officiating was bad. We should have got pass interference called. You went up against the Jets C team. You went up against the Jets, and you got your own favorable call. That was a touchdown. Listen, there was not enough conclusive evidence to overturn that to Jalen Hurts to get that touchdown. You could argue both ways, but they called it Jets ball on the field. It gets overturned from replay, and that was controversial. I think the Lazard blindside block was the right call. It was just a dumb block by Lazard. I mean, that was a free play. Stay away. Garrett's got the first and more. You're in the red zone. Bada bing, bada boom. Instead of free play, becomes a personal foul, and you're backwards. And then he dropped the ball the next play. Like, the Jets didn't play perfect, which is why this is such a miraculous win. They didn't score their first offensive touchdown till Breece Hall's game winner. 4 field goals. It was Greg the Leg again. 43, 42, 35, 38. This team struggled mightily again in the red zone. They could not put it in until Breece Hall did. Adams takes it to the 8 on the return on the interception, and Breece Hall runs it in, and then the defense seals the deal. This marks the best win of the Robert Saleh era. This is it. The cream of the crop. So many guys down. Your corners, like I said, you lose Joe Tippmann. Another injury to the offensive line. And they said after the game, it might be a while, a thigh injury. You lose your right guard. You're without your right tackle, and AVT who's out for the season. Garrett Wilson is in and out, still had a monster game, playing injured. And he called the turf garbage. Again at MetLife Stadium, causing injuries. 8 for 90 for Garrett Wilson. He was in and out of this game. Like I said, Sauce, Reed, Eccles, Hardy, who's going to be out for a couple of weeks at least right now. All out of the game. Dwayne Brown, you're still without. This is a resilient bunch. To win this game with some of your big horses out is a true statement. And there's a reason Jets fans are going to this bye fired up. And usually I'd say this. I'd say, I don't want to bye right now. You just won back-to-back games. Sure, one was against Denver, but a win is a win is a win is a win. And then you just go out and beat the defending NFC champions who hadn't lost a game. I don't want to break. Let's keep riding. Well, personally, I want to break because I have my brother's wedding next weekend. So the bye couldn't have come at a more perfect time on a selfish note. But on an unselfish note, the Jets need to be selfish and enjoy this bye because they are the walking wounded right now. Now, if you can get a nice week off here, relax, get some bodies back. Hopefully, Sauce thought he was already ready, but they didn't clear him with the concussion. So Sauce, you expect to be back. DJ Reed, you're expecting to probably be back. Brandon Eccles, you expect might be back. And Dwayne Brown, he told Kaz this week, who will join me in a few minutes, that he expects to potentially be back after the bye. Now, Tippmann, we're going to have to wait and see. It's probably not going to be good. You're probably going to lose Tippmann now. But you're going to have to replace Tippmann with Brown, and then you're going to figure out how to position it. Is one of the guys going to play guard? Is Mitchell going to move to guard? What are you going to do there? You're going to have to reconfigure some things if Tippmann is going to miss some time. And if you lose Tippmann for the year, that is another brutal loss to lose AVT and Tippmann for the season. But again, with the New York Jets, it's next man up. And I don't know. There is something with this team when Aaron Rodgers showed up. I know they lost the Chiefs game, but he shows up miraculously. They play, a pretty good game and nearly win. And then he's up again. Not only he's upright and throwing the ball before the game. And you could say it's too soon. You can't overreact to this. I'm sorry. I think Aaron Rodgers is coming back in December or early January. I think if it is a win and in situation in Foxborough against the Patriots who lost again, Aaron Rodgers might be back for that game. And I think seeing him on the field and seeing him throw now has fans excited, especially after this win. You go into the bye, we said 2-4. Without Aaron, 3-3 is unrealistic. You're not beating the Eagles, 2-4. Well, you just beat the Eagles. You're 3-3. And like we kept pointing to, and I'll talk with Kaz, there's winnable games on this schedule ahead. And it starts with the New York Giants, which is a game you have to win. And if you can get to 4-3 there against a Giants team that's banged up, they're fighting the Bills tough here on Sunday night, keeping it close. You're in good shape. If you could be 4-3 going to Monday Night Football against the Chargers on November 6th, we'll see what kind of team the Jets have that is after the October 31st Halloween trade deadline. We'll see if it's a different looking Jets team because now, if Tippmann's going to miss even more time, now you really have to get the phones going, whether it's a free agent, there's not many going to be out there, or a trade to get an offensive lineman. So this is incredible. There's a reason Jets fans should be absolutely elated. This is arguably the biggest regular season win in the history of the Gangs All Here podcast. We started this show mid to late October of 2019. This is the fourth full season and the fifth overall season, fourth season I've co-hosted. And this is arguably the biggest win of this show. Going out and beating the Eagles for the first time ever and doing it with a lot of guys out. Zach wasn't bad. He managed the game. He wasn't great in the red zone, but listen, I hate to use the famous words, he played mistake-free, but he did. the Jets didn't fumble. They didn't throw a pick. Zach was sacked 5 times. But, he also ran for 15 yards. He had that one run diving forward almost for the first down. That was really nice. 19 to 33, 186 yards. He wasn't incredible, but he did enough. Greg Zuerlein did enough. But I don't really want to credit Zach in the offense. The run game didn't do much. Brees had the big touchdown. Other than that, Brees 12 for 39 on the day. 5 for 54 in the receiving. He was better as a receiver than a running back. This was the defense. The defense gets the game ball. This defensive effort was absolutely remarkable. Quentin Williams, that interception. Lucky bounce, but finally a ball bounced the Jets' way. I mean, they don't get the calls. They don't get the challenges. They have got nothing for them. Injuries. Their backs against the wall. And they push that wall down on Sunday. And that's why the fan base is going into this bye. I go into Atlanta, celebrate the wedding of my middle brother, Ben, as I am the last man standing in the Brown family not to be married. But I'm married to the game. I'm married to the hustle. I'm married to this Jets football team right now. Listen, when Aaron Rodgers went down, I was one of the people like, this is going to be an uphill battle. I don't, playoffs maybe, but it's going to be tough. Now you look at it after this game and got to say, this Jets team should make the playoffs. Now, I'm speaking way too early, obviously, and with all the injuries, you never know. But you look at the schedule ahead, you didn't sign up for a victory with this game. This you marked as an automatic loss. Now that it's a win, you look at this remaining schedule and think, if they keep playing this way, if Zach keeps evolving, if he keeps, playing mistake-free, if Brees stays healthy, they should be able to reel off 9 or 10 total wins and get into the dance. I'm not going to talk about that yet, but I'm saying that it is very doable. And you look at the stats of this game, you didn't think the Jets would win. Penalties, 9 for 68 yards. The Eagles had 5 for 46. 69 plays to 59. 348 to 248 total yards. But the difference is this: 4 turnovers to 0. The Bryce Hall pick, the Quentin Williams pick, the Tony Adams game-winning pick, and Quincy Williams with the fumble recovery. And their grandma was in the house. Last time she was there, they both got a sack. This time, Williams and Williams got a turnover. That's the law firm right there. Williams and Williams. Gang Green is 3-3 going to the bye. And they come out of the bye and they'll stay at MetLife. It'll be a giant home game. But Jet fans will be rocking MetLife Stadium on October 29th. And this was the statement game that this team needed to go into their bye, believing that they are a playoff team. And Aaron Rodgers is throwing the football. He's on his feet. Seems like 2 months, 2.5 months is a long ways away. But in Aaron's eyes, it's coming. And man, be a hell of a story. 9-7, week 18, Jets, Pats. Here comes Rodgers. We're fired up. Let's chat with Brian Costello. All right, let's bring in now Brian Costello. Of course, Kaz, you were at the game, and I mean, it's still kind of hard to put words around how the hell the Jets won this game without 4 of their cornerbacks, without 3 starting offensive linemen. Remarkable, right? What can you say?
Yeah, I mean, the defense played really well, Jake, and kept them in the game while the offense did nothing, for most of the day. The defense in Zuerlein, you got to give Greg Zuerlein credit for he just keeps making field goals. So when you looked up, it was 14-12 and they had a shot. And then, Jalen Hurts throws it to Tony Adams. They make the 4th turnover of the day. And that's it. But, the defense played tremendous, and missing Sauce and Reed. Outstanding effort.
I mean, you're watching this game live. Like, could you believe your eyes? Like, some of the attempts Jalen Hurts even made, like the interception by Tony Adams, like a terrible throw. Is that a testament more? I think it's a testament more to how good the Jets defense was. But was Jalen Hurts just off today? Because listen, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts have all looked pretty
Yeah.
mediocre or below mediocre against the Jets this year.
No, I mean you have to give them credit. You have to give the Jets defense credit. They've done this to these quarterbacks. It's a really good scheme and they run it well. I would question Sirianni throwing there. I don't know. I know it's third down. He said after the game, they get a first down there, they win the game. But I sort of feel like the Jets offense really, yeah. I mean, they've moved the ball a little bit. They're down by 2, so they could kick a field goal and win the game. But I don't know. I almost would have run it there. I don't remember what the timeout situation was for the Jets at that point. I know they lost one on they used them before the 2-minute warning, right? They used both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they had no more timeouts left. So I think I would have run the ball there, run some clock, punted, and tried to play defense on the Jets. I would feel better myself trying to, keep Zach Wilson and company from getting across the 50 rather than trying to make a 3rd and 9. Was it 3rd and 9 throw there? Especially after he'd been picked off twice already before. I mean, the Quinnen interception was not on Jalen Hurts. That was a Rick. Even the other one, the Bryce Hall one really wasn't a bad throw either. Jermaine hit his arm. So both of those, the first 2 interceptions were not horrible throws by Jalen Hurts by any means. They were good plays by the Jets. The Tony Adams one was a rough throw.
How about what Saleh said after the game about the quarterbacks he faced? Because he was through these 6 weeks we've played a gauntlet of quarterbacks. I know we haven't got all wins, but we've embarrassed all of them. He was arrogant, a little cocky. What'd you think of his post game?
I don't think they embarrassed Dak Prescott. I'd say that, right? I don't think they really embarrassed Mac Jones. He threw a pass to the tight end that killed him. They've been tremendous against Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts are 3 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and they've played outstanding against them. I thought embarrass was a strong word to use, right? Because they've done, those guys have still done some good things against them, and I don't know if that's going to come back to bite him at some point. He's going to see Josh Allen in a month, right? But yeah, they played. You can't take it away from them, though. 8 interceptions, I think, between those 3 quarterbacks against the Jets. So they've been playing great against them.
I mean, Kaz, when you look on paper and you're like, how the hell is Bryce Hall, Michael Carter, Craig James, and Tay Hayes, who I had never heard of, coming into this game? How are they going to defeat the defending NFC champions, the 5-0 Eagles? Everyone and their mother had taken the Eagles in this game, giving the Jets no shot. So I think those unknown, Michael Carter is known, and Bryce Hall has been a starter for the Jets before, but I think that C team, D team, whatever you want to call them, unit, and Jeff Ulbrich deserves a ton of credit for the game plan that they had today.
Yeah, Ulbrich and Saleh had a good game plan. And really, Jake, the key was they didn't let them run. They had 80 rushing yards, and I think 47 of them were from Hurts, which some of that's design runs, but others were just scrambles. That forced them. They threw 45 times. The Eagles do not want to throw 45 times. They were never in short yardage. We didn't see the tush push once, right? So that tells me they kept them third and 3, 4, 5 plus. So I think that was the key. What they did against the run, I mean, DeAndre Swift was a non-factor, Jake, other than catching the ball, but really running, he did nothing. So that to me is the key to the whole thing, because I thought that would be where the Jets might struggle. We've seen them give up big runs. They gave up a big run in Denver. They gave up a big run against the Chiefs. Could the Eagles really run the ball on? And I mean traditional run, like with DeAndre Swift, not Hurts running around all over the place. So them shutting the run down was huge. And then the guys did enough on the back end. I like AJ Brown had a lot of yards and made some big catches, but didn't really kill them.
And on top of that, Brees only ran for 39 yards. The Jets, their own run game, Kaz, was not very good. On top of it's insane that the Jalen Hurts touchdown got overturned, considering it was called turnover in the field and that got overturned in the beginning. There was a lot going up against the Jets today.
Yeah, I mean, the win is going to kind of, a win is the greatest deodorant, Jake, but this offense is not strong right now, and particularly in the red zone, right? Before that Brees Hall touchdown after the Tony Adams interception, when he gave him the ball at the 8, they were 0 for 3 in the red zone after going 0 for 5 in Denver. Like they didn't turn the turnovers in the first half. They only got a field goal out of that, right? So this offense has to pick it up for them to really be sustainable winners, Jake. They great win today, not taking anything away from it, but I think had Tony Adams not come up with that interception and had the Eagles been able to run out the clock, we'd be talking right now about what's wrong with the Jets offense. Can it be fixed? That kind of stuff. Obviously, Tony Adams saved, he bailed out the Jets offense, but going forward, they're going to have to figure that stuff out.
They found ways, cause back-to-back weeks to win games that they did not. They were very sloppy. They did not play great football. Like you said, bad in the red zone. Some bad penalties, like on the free play, Alan Lazard, you can't make that block. I mean, it's free yardage, so just take it. I kind of hate that that's not considered offsetting.
I hate that penalty. I just hate that penalty in general, Jake. Like I don't know. Blindside,
Twitter was in shambles over
that. Block was a legal block in football forever until 3 years ago, whenever the hell he decided it wasn't legal anymore. I just don't know how you ask a guy to hold up on a block like that because his back is toward his end zone. But right, that's just the new way of football.
But then on top of that, like just call it offset. Now the fact that they pushed them back, that rule I don't like.
I never knew that rule, Jake. I'm guessing that's because it's a personal foul. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but I guess a personal foul overrides like an offsides call. That'd be my guess, because you don't want to offset a personal foul, right? That means the guy like did something violent, right? That's a personal foul. So I'm guessing that's why that didn't offset.
But that play wasn't. I know they're calling it violent. It wasn't that violent.
It was a pretty big hit, Jake. He knocked him out of the game. I mean, it was a great block. It was a great hit.
Yeah. Well, the old school football watchers are hating watching that. And listen, it was frustrating, but listen, they won the game. That's the moral of the story. And Kaz, this has to be put it up on the mantra of Robert Saleh's greatest win as a head coach of the New York Jets. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I was trying to think, Jake. The win at Lambeau was pretty big last year, right? That was a big win. They beat the Bills, last November. That was a pretty big win. But this one tops it because, the Eagles are in a different class, and no one gave them a shot in this game. I think that Packers team was a little flawed last year, and the Bills are a division opponent. You expect the Jets are going to catch them sometimes, in the division. But this was against the Eagles were undefeated. People were talking about how long they could be undefeated for, and the Jets ended it today.
You have said as of recently that this defense is a little overhyped. Do you still believe that they're a little overhyped?
Yeah, they're not the 85 Bears. I mean, that's what I mean when I say overhyped. Like, they talked about being the 85 Bears. They gave up 348 yards today. So, they did a great job taking the ball away. But yeah, it's, have they posted a shutout yet? Right? Like they're not that like, and that's a high bar. I admit it, but they set the bar that high, right? They said they were going to be the number 1 defense. They're the number 22 defense entering today. They'll probably 348 yards, but they'll go up in the scoring defense at least with 14. They're a good defense, but they're not the 85 Bears.
And the key is takeaways. 4 takeaways will do it. Like the numbers across the board. Other than that, the Eagles, they had more plays. Time possession was fairly even. Jets had more penalties, but the key number was 4-0. And that brings me to Zach, who, he was terrible in the red zone, but I thought he played decently well. Like he wasn't terrible. He didn't cost him the game. He didn't make a big mistake. I like the play where he used his legs and dove for the first down where he almost had it. He actually looked better. And again, we've said, and you said they've developed some stability there. Zach has slowly gotten better and better. And while he didn't throw for a pick, he also didn't make any big mistakes. And I thought that was big.
Yeah, no mistakes is the big thing from him, right? Yeah, that's what they need from him. You got to figure out the red zone. He's got to get the ball in the end zone, obviously. But he didn't kill them today. I kept waiting for that big turnover. I thought there might be, I kind of expected it to come at some point, and it didn't. So you got to give him credit there.
Guys, the Jets are 3-3 going to the bye without Aaron Rodgers, although he was on the field throwing the ball. And I said in the open, like, I think he's back week 18 against the Patriots. Like, the way it is shaping up, the fact he's already throwing on the field, I think he's going to do all he can, especially if it's winning in, to come back. But can you believe that this team, one, they won this game, and that the 3-3 going to the bye? I mean, we said 3-3 with Aaron Rodgers. Without, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, and they were 1-3, so getting that they've stabilized things, right? Like think about where we were after that Patriots loss. The sky was falling. Everyone was talking about Kirk Cousins and all that stuff, and what could they do? Is Saleh going to be fired? Is Douglas going to be fired? They've stabilized it, right? It's going to be a quiet bye week for them. They get away, and and then we'll have the big battle with the Giants.
And it's interesting it's a bye week because there's two sides of this. One, you're playing so well, you've won back-to-back, you kind of want to keep rolling and keep playing. But the other side of it, the Jets are banged up, guys. They could use this week off. They'll probably get Sauce back. They'll probably get Reed back. They'll probably get Eccles back. They'll probably get Dwayne Brown back. A guy they might not have back is Joe Tippmann. I mean, he said it doesn't look good. Do you think this is going to be another big serious injury?
He said it could be a while. So that was what he said. Yeah, I mean, a quadriceps injury or thigh injury, whatever they said, that could be a while. I don't think it's season ending, but he can miss a few weeks. But I thought Wes Schweitzer was okay. I think he's like, look, if I think Wes Schweitzer at the time, then they made the change on the line, right? After Dwayne Brown went out, Wes Schweitzer was out with a concussion. I think if he had been healthy at that time, he may have been the guard over Tippmann. They went with Tippmann because Schweitzer was on. So, I think they can survive with Schweitzer there.
The amount of times you successfully just said Schweitzer is pretty impressive because trying to say that 10 times fast is going to lead to profanity if I tried it. So Schweitzer, I guess, becomes a starter. And then then they're going to have the conundrum of, does Dwayne Brown go to right tackle? Does Mackay stay at left? That's going to be intriguing to watch in a few weeks against a Giants team that, has me and you playing offensive line and nearly just beat the Bills. I mean, went down to the 1 yard line. The Jets were very close to being in second place, but the Bills did prevail. I mean, the Giants twice at the 1 yard line and not being able to score either time sums up their 1-5 season. I mean, that game, if the Jets lose today, was a must win. You cannot lose to this version of the Giants, guys, in 2 weeks. And this, this is the Snoopy Bowl. This is a big one here. You go 4-3. Chargers, a good team, come to town Monday Night Football. This is a big one coming up in 2 weeks. For the Giants, I mean, it'll pretty much, if they lose, it seals any hope of the playoffs, which is already done for them. But for the Jets, you got to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't see the Giants game at all. So, but like they played the Bills tough. I mean, that's a big accomplishment for the Giants. So I would expect it to be a close game, Jake. But yeah, and I don't know. I mean, they're 3-3. I don't think it's a must win. I get what you're saying. I mean, I think you've pronounced every game this season a must win. So I do think they have a little cushion now at 3-3. But yeah, if the Giants play the Commanders next week, right?
Yep.
So we'll see how they come out of that and how they look. But maybe the Giants might have found something in Buffalo, even in a loss. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play next week.
Yeah, we'll see. They assume Daniel Jones will be back next week. We'll see what his status is in a few weeks. It's also a couple days before the trade deadline, that game. So a lot could change here in the next 2 weeks. But the Jets, the walking wounded, could use this week off. But they're riding high into the bind. You just got to come out and keep that positive mojo going because, like you said, the second half, there's a lot of games you circle. They're in the Jets weight class. This was one you didn't expect to win. This is one of those ones you stole. There's going to be one of those ones that you end up losing that you thought you were going to win, whether that's to the Chargers, whether that's in Las Vegas, whether that's to the Falcons, who lost on Sunday. So the Texans look really solid. That's going to be a tough one. But now the Jets are in a very unique position. You got to look at this team now, Kaz, at 3-3 as I don't know if you could say I expect them to make the playoffs, but you got to look at this as a playoff team.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there, Jake. What I would say is they proved against the Eagles they can play with anybody in the NFL, right? They proved that now. They beat the Bills. They played the Chiefs really tough, and they beat the Eagles, okay? So that's what, 3 of your top 5 teams in the NFL? if you want to throw the 49ers and Dolphins in there as the other two, I would guess. So there's no game now. Like I thought the Eagles, the Bills, and two Dolphins games would be tough for them to win. I look at them differently now after this. They can win any game on the schedule. They've proven that they can play with anybody. Like I said, I don't think playing offense like that is sustainable. I think they're gonna have to figure out a way to score touchdowns. They can't. The defense is not going to be lights out every single week. That's just not going to happen. So they're going to need the offense to score some points. But yeah, I right now, Jake, there's nothing on the schedule you look at and go, oh, that the Jets are definitely going to lose that game. So, I think that's where they are right now.
History. First win over the Eagles.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been playing since
Crazy.
what, 1973? Was that?
Yeah, I mean they haven't played a lot, but 12 they lost 12 times to them. So that storyline's dead. I mean, we've written that storyline a lot of times. And I think when they beat Pittsburgh last year, right? They ended a streak, I think, in Pittsburgh that had been a while. So they're crushing some of those old Jet streaks.
That's shaping up for Foxborough week 18. Crush that streak. What is that at 13,
Yeah.
14? I don't even.
That's the one now, Jake, where I got a feeling that people inside the Jets are going, how did we lose to the Patriots? Because Patriots have looked awful since that game, and the Jets have looked much, much better since that game. So they're going to be kicking themselves over that loss.
Yeah, and who knows who the Patriots quarterback at that point is going to be. I mean, today they had Malik Cunningham making some appearances, so they might have a change by then because Mac Jones has looked terrible. And yeah, this could be a 4-2 Jets team.
They lost to the Raiders with the backup, right? Hoyer ended up playing most of that game.
Hoyer played, a lot. Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they are in shambles. This should be a 4-2 Jets team, but hey, they beat the Eagles, so that kind of makes up for that one. But yeah, you go 4-2 into the bye. Oh my goodness. I mean, people would have their Super Bowl tickets, especially seeing Aaron Rodgers back in the field now. Do you think fans overreacting to him being out there? I think it's a kind of big deal, the fact he's throwing this soon, right?
It's amazing. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And like watching him do it, he was putting weight on his left foot, which is just stunning to see. Now, I don't think
makes me nervous too.
He can't move. Like if you watch the video of him going to the locker room, like he was still limping pretty good. And he was throwing, Jake. He was, he wasn't rolling to his left or rolling to his right at all. So he's still a long way away from that. So I wonder when he's going to be able to move laterally and do what he needs to do to protect himself. But you're talking 2.5 months until when you're talking about a comeback. So yeah, I don't think you can write it off. It's going to be a fascinating decision for them based on like where they are at that point, how Zach has played, and just weighing whether you're risking next season with a 40-year-old, coming off of an Achilles. It's a lot of factors to weigh.
But the storyline is just so goddamn good if it happens. If it's winning in or like
he has a camera.
Zach has to give the ball back to him. Like, hey, I've been playing all right, but here, you take it back. I mean, obviously he'll do it, but
he has a camera crew following him, Jake. I've noticed that the last 2 times I've seen him, and it's not the Jets. It's like his own private crew. So he must be doing a documentary about his rehab and comeback. Like I know he loves Kobe Bryant and Muse. Like he's referenced that several times. So I think he might be doing his own version of that.
So it wasn't One Jets Drive. It was his own.
It's not One Jets Drive. It's not those guys. It's his own. I've never seen the guys who are the cameramen, so I'm guessing it's his own project.
Wow, interesting. So the Jets, it's his own production. That could be interesting to watch. That's not surprising because I feel like some of this is for show. I mean, getting out in the field like that, it's become a whole production in itself. And
he wasn't bashful, Jake. I mean, let's be honest. He could have thrown a football when nobody was watching plenty, but he was out there putting on a show today. There was lots of cameras. There was lots of cameras on him.
He came back for the Chiefs game. Jets nearly won. He comes back for this game. The Jets win. There's something in being there. I'm not going to give him much credit because the defense won this game, but there's some morale thing. I
don't think
Aaron
he was calling the defense,
but just something with him in the building. I don't know. It's the Rodgers effect. He's there, and and it's beautiful. And now you're going to the bye. So what's the schedule here? Take the fans through, because I don't even know. Do the Jets get like 4 days off here? How does this week go?
We don't know yet. So we have Zoom access tomorrow. Like they'll go tomorrow, they'll get treatment, they'll watch film and have meetings and stuff. But then we heard like they might be there Tuesday, Wednesday, and then break. But after a win like that, Saleh might just say Monday, and then everybody can scatter. I think we probably don't know because the players don't know yet. So once he tells the players, I think we'll know. But I've seen it both ways. I've seen coaches go to Wednesday. I've seen other coaches just bag it after Monday.
Well, the Jets could use the break, and shout out to the backups, man. Craig James, shout out to Quinnen and Quincy with their grandmother in the building. Each of them getting their own turnover. That Quinnen pick was really nice. Jets finally got a lucky bounce of their own. Quincy, I mean, he's playing all pro football right now. Shout out to the linebackers, played well. Shout out to Ulbrich, the coaching staff. They still had some mistakes. They still had some time management issues, things that need to get cleaned up. But the fact they won this game with those mistakes they had is pretty damn impressive. They go into the bye. Kaz, I head to Atlanta. My brother's getting married on Saturday, as I am the last member of the family, single, forever, dedicated to the Mets, Jets, Knicks, and Rangers, and loneliness.
That's how pathetic is that? What did you say? Mets, Jet? What is it? Mets, Jets,
Knicks, Rangers.
Mets, Jets, Knicks, Rangers. So the last championship will be 1994.
And I wasn't even a hockey fan there, and I was 3 years old, so it doesn't even count.
So you've never seen any of your teams win a championship.
That's why the thought of winning one gets me emotional. Like, I've gotten teary-eyed before the Mets season thinking that they were going to get it. When the Jets get Rodgers, I get teary-eyed thinking of being down the Canyon of Heroes. So that's why I hope for a storyline.
Do you know the 1940 chant, Jake? Do you know that history?
That's the Rangers.
Rangers, yeah. So for years, opponents would chant 1940 at the Rangers because that was the last time they had won the championship. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty amazing. So that was a huge thing. And when they won it in 94, it was like the biggest deal that they had erased 1940, sort of like the Red Sox when they erased 1918. Mm-hmm. But the Jets now, so when I was 18 years old in 1994. So like that Rangers championship, like 1940 sounded like to me, it was 100 years ago. The Jets have now gone longer than the Rangers drought. The Jets are now 55 years. So 1968 is a long time ago, but
it changes this year. No, I'm not going to say that. But, the Super Bowl in Vegas does look more intriguing as the Jets are 3-3 going into the bye. We will be off this week. We'll be back next week to preview the Jets-Giants game. I'm sure either pre or post show we'll do some kind of crossover with the Blue Rush podcast crew. But until then, we'll close out this episode of Gangs All Here next. Alrighty. That says goodnight to episode 157 of Gangs All Here, a Jets podcast from the New York Post. Thanks to Andrew Hartz and the intern Mason Radicchio for helping me produce the show. You can subscribe to Gangs All Here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating, write in a nice review, and subscribe to the New York Post Sports YouTube page. Watch full uncut episodes of the show. Give us a thumbs up below. Comment below. How are you feeling right now? Let us know how hyped you are. I don't know how you're a Jets fan and not hyped. I get it. There were ugly things that happened. There was some bad coaching by the Eagles. The Jets found a way to win this game, and that's all you got to do. Last year, the Jets got lucky. They played, Kaz said it, they played a bunch of backup quarterbacks. A bunch of starters got hurt. They played backups, and they won some games. This year, they've beaten Josh Allen. They've beaten Jalen Hurts. They've taken Patrick Mahomes to the bitter end. They lost, but they took him to the end. But they've beaten 2 top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. They're 3-3 going to the bye without Aaron Rodgers. And Zach Wilson has steadily improved. He's making me eat crow. He's just got to play smarter in the red zone. He's got to complete more passes in the red zone. But you cannot not be encouraged by what you're seeing from this Jets team. Clean up some of the stuff, some better time management, better in the red zone, some better play calling. McCole Hardman was out there. Garrett Wilson complained about the turf. The turf's, you're stuck with it. But let's continue to see the offense grow. Let's continue to see some different schemes, some different play calls, some of those gadget guys, Gibson getting involved again. Let's continue to see that. But you got to go in and beat the Giants in 2 weeks. We'll preview that game on next Thursday's Gangs All Here, but we are done for the week. Take some time off. You get a whole week off. Go watch some other football. Maybe take the Sunday off. I'll be with my family. Congrats to my brother Ben getting married outside in wherever the hell it is in Atlanta. I'm excited to be there at the wedding. And yeah, I'm going to enjoy a week Jets free. I'm going into the bye. Did not think we would be feeling this high right now. And we are on a new high. So for Brian Costello, I'm Jake Brown. We'll be back next Thursday to preview Jets Giants. And that was so electric of a win that we'll close it out as we thank you for listening to Gangs All Here with a Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets. See you next week.